Imagine a situation. You open your freezer expecting to find your usual dinner or frozen groceries, but instead, a whole mammoth appears before you, so well preserved that it seems as if it just died yesterday. This sounds like a plot from a science fiction novel or movie, but in reality, it has become possible thanks to a unique natural phenomenon: permafrost. It serves as an inexhaustible repository for ancient animal remains, preserving them unchanged for thousands of years. Inside the ice layers, one can find not only fossilized bones but also entire furs, skins, teeth, and even whiskers of long-extinct creatures. All of this is not just remains, but real-time capsules that allow us to glimpse into a world that existed tens of thousands of years ago. These discoveries provide a unique opportunity to understand what the past of our planet was like and reveal secrets of a bygone era. Prepare for an incredible journey into the past, because today we will tell you about 8 of the most incredible prehistoric animals found in the ice in a nearly perfectly preserved state. These finds are astonishing in their rarity and uniqueness, as thanks to them, we can see living creatures that existed on Earth long before humans appeared. But before we delve into the descriptions of these amazing discoveries, I would like to ask for a small favor. If you find this fascinating journey into the past interesting, your attention and interest will be the best reward for us. Your support is an inspiration for us to continue our research and stories about ancient worlds. Let's return to our discoveries. In 2020, in the heart of Siberia's wilderness, on the banks of the Bodoryaghi River, a group of tusk hunters stumbled upon something so incredible that this find literally paralyzed all the participants. There in the permafrost, they managed to discover a well-preserved juvenile saber-toothed cat. Its tiny claws were still curled, and its whiskers untouched, indicating a high degree of preservation. It was not just a fossilized skeleton or a crumbling bone, but a true frozen carcass of a predator, preserved in pristine condition. Scientists quickly identified it as a member of the Gamatorius genus, Latidens, more commonly known as the saber-toothed cat. Imagine, this was a more graceful and swift creature, a relative of the famous Smilodon, but unlike its large and rugged cousin, Gamatorius was built for long pursuits. Its muscular limbs, powerful shoulders, and serrated teeth, resembling steak knives, made it an ideal hunter of fast-moving prey. This little juvenile was only about 3 weeks old when it died, which is why its preservation was so exceptional. As a result of a computed tomography scan, scientists were able to determine that the skeleton of this juvenile was completely preserved, down to the tiniest ear bones. Its fur, dark chocolate in color, still reached a length of 20 to 30 millimeters, and the paw pads and sharp retractable claws remained intact. The most remarkable feature was the skin around its face, which had not decomposed, indicating an extraordinary preservation of tissues and allowing us to accurately imagine what it looked like in life. The anatomical features of this predator revealed another important detail. The juvenile's large paws lacked paw pads, enabling it to move easily across slippery or frozen surfaces. Its thick neck and long front limbs were adapted for grappling and hunting. Even the muscles, despite its age, demonstrated that this small predator was built to grow into a swift, deadly creature. Radiocarbon dating showed that its death occurred approximately 35,471 years ago, no later than around 20,000 years ago, during the deep late Pleistocene epoch. On Earth, a creature that now seems incredible, so well preserved in its original form, roamed. Imagine, this was the very moment when humanity was just beginning to master the art of making needles, when primitive tools were only just emerging, and life on Earth was thriving in its pristine wild state. Despite more than 3 centuries and millennia, being seemingly insignificant in the grand timeline of the planet, this mysterious creature did not decompose or disappear. It remained frozen in time forever. The permafrost, like a cryogenic chamber of nature, trapped it in a frozen state, serving as a unique specimen from an era when Earth was dominated by icy expanses and harsh winters. But the mystery does not end there. Only one such juvenile was found. No mother or siblings were discovered nearby. What happened at that moment? Why is it the only one? Perhaps it died during a snowstorm that caught it unexpectedly, or it fell into a deep crevice where it was frozen. Or maybe that place became the scene of some ancient catastrophe that destroyed it and all surrounding creatures. We are unlikely to ever know the exact reasons. The only certainty is that this creature most likely died suddenly at a very young age, only between 1 and 2 months old, and it remains in the form we observe today. We see it as if holding its breath in a state of complete stillness, with no signs of injury or wounds, indicating the suddenness of its death. It may have been buried beneath a layer of soil or mud as a result of a landslide or collapse that occurred directly above it. Thanks to the constant cold environment of the Siberian permafrost, its tiny body was quickly and perfectly frozen, and therefore decomposition simply did not begin. But these were not ordinary kittens or cute Ice Age creatures. No, we are talking about cave lions, predators that occupied the top of the food chain in their era. These animals were larger and stronger than modern lions that inhabit Africa. Some of them reached over 1 meter in shoulder height and weighed up to 306 kilograms. Unlike their modern counterparts, cave lions had thick fur adapted to harsh climatic conditions, and their powerful limbs made them excellent hunters in snowy tundras and cold forests. These predators were built for life in environments where cold and snow were constant companions, and their musculature, fur, and body structure indicated that they were not just larger, but much better adapted to the brutal nature of their times. The specimens found, Sparta and Boris, are not just rare finds. They are true scientific treasures that open a window into a long-extinct era. Thanks to modern methods such as computed tomography and DNA analysis, scientists were able to study their bones, muscles, internal organs, and even traces of maternal milk inside their stomachs in exquisite detail. An extraordinary opportunity to understand how these ancient creatures lived, fed, and died, leaving their mark on the history of our planet. For example, Sparta was discovered in 1818 on the Semelik River in Yakutia, and based on its characteristics, is considered the best preserved representative of the Ice Age. Its fur still had a rich golden hue, its whiskers were intact, the pads of its paws were soft, and its internal organs were in almost pristine condition. It was a true miracle of science to see an animal in such a state, having survived millennia and remaining almost untouched by time. Interestingly, just a year earlier, only 15 meters from the discovery site, deep within the Siberian expanses in a crater known as the Badagay crater, scientists made a truly astonishing discovery. Inside this ancient crater, they found the body of a remarkably well-preserved animal that amazed with its integrity and the richness of preserved tissues. It was not petrified remains, but a genuine time capsule frozen in the moment of its life. Soft tissues, skin, hair, organs, and even blood had been preserved. None of it turned to stone, but remaining in a state close to living tissue. It can be said that scientists found a time capsule, capturing a long-gone past with a still warm heartbeat that had long stopped. Yet evidence of life could still be read in every cell of this incredible creature. The discovered animal belonged to an extinct species called Eucus lenski, or, as it is also known, the Lenski horse. This species existed during the late Pleistocene, a time when the Earth was ravaged by ice ages and the climate was extremely harsh. In those days, the world was dominated by brutal frosts, and survival depended on the ability to adapt to constantly changing and often very dangerous conditions. The lifespan of this small foal was very short, only about 2 weeks. Most likely it died after falling into soft mud and freezing before decomposition could even begin. However, this tragic event became a real treasure for science, as it was preserved so well that even the tiniest details remained intact. Tiny hairs were preserved inside its nostrils, and its golden brown coat had not been affected by time. The mane of this little foal still curled along its miniature neck, and its hooves were smooth and whole. Its internal organs were fully preserved, which was truly an incredible achievement for science. Researchers were able not only to study its tissues, but also to extract genuine liquid blood from the heart of this ancient foal. This discovery was a real breakthrough because, given its age, this blood is the oldest ever found in a fossilized animal. The location of this unique find, the Badagayka crater, is constantly expanding. Each year, due to climate changes, Melting permafrost reveals new layers of Earth that have been inaccessible to research for tens of thousands of years. Local residents call this crater the gateway to the underground world because it seems to lift the curtain on the hidden part of our planet. Here, the Earth breaks away in layers that have remained untouched for centuries. And inside this giant crack, scientists find not just bones or fragments, but entire creatures frozen at the moment of their life. This place is a true marvel of modern science, where the boundary between past and present blurs, allowing us to observe what existed hundreds of thousands of years ago. A distinctive feature of this horse, differing from modern breeds, is its more compact build. It had thicker, stronger bones, dense muscles, and a denser winter coat, all naturally evolved for survival in harsh conditions. Wide hooves, perfectly suited for breaking through snow and frozen ground, helped it move in those extreme climates. Unlike modern domestic horse breeds, such as the Equestrianus, this ancient horse was not subjected to human intervention and developed solely under natural forces. As a result, its evolution followed a special, unique branch that diverged from the ancestors of modern horses approximately 115,000 years ago. This makes it a key link in understanding how horses adapted to extreme climates and how they might have evolved again in response to environmental changes. Genetic studies confirm that this species is a distinct branch of the horse family. Approximately 35,000 years ago, extraordinary creatures inhabited the planet, whose remains still evoke genuine interest among scientists and researchers. One such remarkable discovery was the body of a small mammoth calf, whose age at the time of death did not exceed 45 days. At the moment of its demise, it was a tiny creature, not much larger than a large dog, standing about 85 centimeters tall and measuring just over 130 centimeters in length. Despite its miniature size, this was an incredibly significant breakthrough for science. The mammoth calf's body was preserved in exceptionally good condition thanks to the unique properties of permafrost, which acted as a natural preservative, slowly but surely transforming it into a natural mummy. When scientists began examining this specimen, they were stunned. The expression was genuine. The mammoth calf's eyes, intact and still shining, looked almost alive. Its trunk, despite being thousands of years old, remained whole, and traces of maternal milk were preserved inside its mouth. This indicated that the young animal had recently fed before death, adding an element of mystery to the event. The dimensions of this tiny mammoth, just over 130 centimeters long and 85 centimeters high, allowed it to be compared to a large dog, yet its significance for science was far greater than what a simple external measurement might suggest. Modern research methods, such as computed tomography and endoscopy, enabled scientists to peer inside this ancient organism and study its organs, muscle structure, and bones. They appeared as if this mammoth calf had died just yesterday, not more than 35,000 years ago. Particularly astonishing was the discovery inside its body of evidence pointing to its last meal. Researchers found partially digested milk in its stomach. This fact indicated that the calf had recently fed, making its death even more mysterious. Even more surprising was the discovery of traces of feces in its intestines, which despite initial repulsion, could be explained by similar processes observed in modern elephants, their closest relatives. As is known, young elephants sometimes consume their mother's feces to develop the gut bacteria necessary for digesting tough vegetation. Thus, this mammoth calf appeared to be beginning a similar process, indicating rapid development and adaptation to the harsh conditions of the Ice Age. After numerous studies, the body of the mammoth calf was carefully transported to the Shimanovsky Museum, located in Salikard in northern Russia. It continues to be one of the most studied and valuable specimens of the Ice Age era in the world. Scientists from around the world, from medical specialists at the University of Tokyo to experts in laboratories in Wisconsin, conducted scans, analyses, and tests to understand how these ancient animals lived, how they reproduced, and how they managed to be so well preserved in permafrost. Each new discovery opened up new horizons of knowledge, allowing scientists not only to better understand the biology of mammoths, but also to consider the possibility of bringing them back to life. Discussions about cloning and using preserved tissues and DNA extracted from well-preserved remains were ongoing as part of these studies. The question of reviving this species was becoming increasingly tangible. Although it remained a subject of scientific debate, it can be confidently said that the discovery of this mammoth calf, Liuba, revolutionized the fields of paleontology and genetics. Today, scientists do not rule out the possibility that one day they might resurrect these ancient giants, and this idea seems more and more feasible. However, despite significant successes, debates continue within the scientific community. Will this actually happen, or will it remain just a dream? One thing is certain: Liuba forever changed our view of the ancient world. Frozen mammoth remains, which until recently were extremely rare, now seem like an almost unbelievable find. She was only about 7 months old when she died, and despite her young age, her body already reached nearly 1.5 meters in length and over 60 centimeters in shoulder height. Such impressive growth rates speak volumes, especially considering the conditions in which these animals lived. Woolly rhinoceroses, as scientists suggest, had to grow very quickly to survive in a world full of dangers during the Ice Age. At that time, predators roamed everywhere, and winters could be deadly for any living creature. Rapid growth was a crucial survival strategy. The larger the rhinoceros, the harder it was to catch or kill. What surprised experts the most was not just the preservation of the remains, but their exceptional state and richness of detail. The find, named Sasha, still had a dense, strawberry-light woolly covering that was remarkably well preserved. Her skin, hooves, and even tiny ear folds remained almost untouched by time. Internal organs, such as the lungs and stomach, were so well preserved that scientists could conduct detailed analyses. They took tissue samples to study ancient DNA, which provided unique insights into this animal's genetic makeup. Even on her face, the beginnings of 2 small horns were starting to form, which in adult woolly rhinoceroses served not only for decoration, but also for practical purposes. They helped clear snow, defend against predators, and compete with rivals. By the 7-month mark, this juvenile had already begun developing horns, indicating that these animals had to be prepared for the dangers of the Ice Age at a very early age, even in their youth. The details surrounding its death remain a mystery to this day. It showed no signs of injuries or damage that would suggest a predator attack, so some researchers speculate that it may have drowned in a river or swamp. Afterwards, its body was quickly covered with layers of ice, which preserved it in nearly perfect condition, almost like in a natural freezer. As for the knowledge about woolly rhinoceros calves, most of the information until recently was based on fragments of bones and teeth found in various locations. However, Sasha's discovery completely changed this picture. It provided scientists with the first full and detailed portrait of what these young animals looked like, how they grew and developed. Thanks to this discovery, experts gained the opportunity to understand what they fed on in their youth, how their appearance and body structure changed over time. Moreover, this research opened new horizons for genetic experiments, which in the future could help reconstruct the evolutionary history of this species and understand how they adapted to the harsh conditions of the Ice Age. Today, Sasha is housed at the Academy of Sciences in Yakutsk, where leading paleontologists from around the world continue to study her. This research has become truly revolutionary, filling an important missing chapter in the history of life during the Ice Age. This is especially significant for a species that went extinct approximately 14,000 years ago. It all began in the distant year 1970, when a group of miners discovered something unusual in the permafrost near Farbinga, Alaska. They expected to find ordinary fossils or frozen tree remains, but what they stumbled upon changed their understanding of ancient nature. In the ground, there was flesh that proved to be extraordinarily dense, heavy, and cold. Its color was not gray or dusty brown, as is typical for ancient remains, but, astonishingly, blue. This hue raised many questions among the researchers. Examining the remains, scientists quickly identified the cause of the unusual color. A rare mineral called vivianite had formed in the tissues of the bison found there. It appeared as a result of a reaction between iron, which was part of the decomposing tissues. For approximately 10,000 years, this remarkable representative of ancient fauna, known as the steppe bison or Bison priscus, was one of the most majestic and powerful giants to have ever inhabited the lands now part of the Arctic tundra. This large, now extinct beast dominated its habitats during the Pleistocene epoch. a period when glaciers covered a significant part of the planet's surface. He stood over 1 meter 80 centimeters tall at the shoulder and could weigh up to 900 kilograms, making him one of the largest representatives of his species. These animals were created by nature to survive in harsh conditions, and their physique was perfectly adapted to life in cold climates. Thick fur, tough skin, and powerful muscles allowed them to withstand strong winds and cold temperatures, as well as escape predators dangerous to their existence during the Ice Age. What made this particular blue baby special was not only his impressive size, but also his preservation state. His skin was still attached to the muscles, the ligaments retained their strength, and the tendons remained elastic, signs that his body had hardly undergone decomposition. Even the tongue of this giant had survived freezing. Remnants of his last meal were found in his stomach, dry grass that was almost indistinguishable from what grows today in some parts of Alaska. This remarkable discovery suggests that he likely fed on tundra vegetation shortly before his death. The cause of his death was as dramatic as his life story itself. Scratches and deep punctures were found on his body, leaving wounds on his shoulders and neck. These injuries were clearly inflicted by a large predator, and based on the pattern of the traces, scientists concluded that he was attacked by a pack of Ice Age lions, enormous cats, some of which weighed over 220 kilograms. These predators were capable of taking down prey as large as bison and hunted him, inflicting deep wounds. Studies indicated that the blue baby probably died from blood loss, and after his death, he was frozen in the Arctic cold. This freezing process played a crucial role. His body was quickly buried in eternal ice, almost instantly halting the decomposition process. For thousands of years, he remained in a state of cryogenic repose, in his own frozen chamber of nature. And thanks to this, he was preserved in a truly unique condition. When many centuries later, his remains were extracted from the permafrost, scientists had the opportunity to study one of the best preserved mammalian specimens from the Pleistocene epoch ever discovered in North America. Today, this remarkable specimen, dubbed the Blue Baby, is kept at the University of Alaska Museum in Fairbanks. His figure is tall and powerful, with a characteristic blue hue that gives him a distinctive appearance. But despite his grandeur and rare preservation, one part of his story continues to astonish scientists and enthusiasts of ancient fauna. After extensive and meticulous research, scientists decided to take a small sample of his neck muscle for deeper analysis. And what turned out to be astonishing was that this piece of meat was edible. Taste sensations, according to those who sampled it, resembled a chewy product with an earthy flavor and a faint hint of freezer burn, a characteristic sign of long-term storage at low temperatures. The meat was, without a doubt, edible despite its unusual origin and preservation conditions. This fact alone became an important discovery for science, as it helps to better understand what the diet of ancient animals was like and how their meat was preserved in permafrost conditions. Speaking of more recent findings, in the distant year 2020, during work at gold mines near the Yukon, close to Dawson City, a group of researchers made an astonishing discovery. For many millennia, scientists and researchers have been seeking answers to the most mysterious questions related to the past of our planet. One such impressive discovery was the finding within the icy depths of a region formerly called Beringia, the land connecting modern Russia, Alaska, and Canada, a unique find that continues to amaze with its significance and scale. Over approximately 7 weeks, specialists worked to extract well-preserved remains of an ancient wolf from the permafrost, estimated to be about 10,000 years old, making it the most complete Ice Age wolf specimen ever found on Earth. This discovery was a real breakthrough because, until then, similar finds were rare and often poorly preserved. The time since the death of this ancient predator was very short, only about 7 weeks. Based on the condition of the bones and tissues inside the chest cavity, scientists concluded that the animal died suddenly, most likely due to the collapse of its den. Such rapid burial, combined with the cold of the permafrost, played a key role in almost completely sealing the wolf's body from destruction over time and decomposition. Surprisingly to experts, this ancient wolf lacked eyes. However, almost everything else in its body was preserved in exceptional condition. Its fur, soft and dense, still covered its body, and the muscles remained wrapped around the tiny skeleton, as if it could wake up at any moment. Even the internal organs, despite the long passage of time, were mostly intact, allowing scientists to make more accurate inferences about its lifestyle and physiology. Overall, it seemed as if this wolf could still breathe, and its body was ready to resume life at any moment in the harsh conditions where it had been found. Particularly intriguing to scientists were the teeth and fur of this ancient creature. Analyses revealed that its diet included much more fish than expected, contrasting with stereotypes of Ice Age wolves, which were believed to primarily hunt mammoths, bison, and other large animals. In fact, his diet consisted of a lot of fish, especially salmon, which indicated that his mother probably hunted near rivers or gathered fish during seasonal migrations of fish schools. This detail completely changed the understanding of Pleistocene wolf behavior, as it was previously assumed that they mainly hunted large animals. Their diet was much more diverse, including fish, which demonstrated a high level of adaptability and the ability to utilize all available resources. DNA analysis of this wolf revealed another important chapter in the history of ancient animals. Scientists discovered that this creature did not belong to the modern line of wolves we know today. It was part of an extinct population that once roamed freely across a region called Beringia, a land bridge during the Ice Age connecting the territories of present-day Russia, Alaska, and Canada. These ancient wolves differed from their modern relatives in genetic structure, indicating that after their population disappeared, other wolf groups adapted to changing environmental conditions and replaced them. By studying the body of this ancient wolf, scientists were able to understand what wolves of the Ice Age might have looked like and how they behaved. It had a thick, dense coat perfectly suited for the harsh, freezing climate. Its bones and limbs were very strong, allowing it to move across icy expanses and hunt prey in extreme cold conditions. Small, sharp teeth had already developed, indicating rapid growth of this predator and its need to quickly adapt to the challenging living conditions. All these features suggested that the Ice Age wolf was not only resilient, but also highly adapted to survive in an extremely harsh environment where every day was a struggle for existence. Almost 460 years ago, in the distant past, a unique discovery was made: remains of a very young individual, only 2 or 3 years old. At that time, it was about 1.5 meters tall and weighed around 77 kilograms. Despite its young age and the fact that it was not fully developed, its remains were preserved in such excellent condition that they deeply impressed scientists. Based on the injuries found in its spine, it can be assumed that its death was most likely caused by trauma. Perhaps a fall or a collision with another predator led to a tragic outcome. But it was precisely the preservation of this specimen that made it so remarkable and valuable for science. What made this discovery so unique? Not just the age. Most ancient remains are often just skeletons or fragments of bones. Here, however, there was astonishing preservation. The nose was almost intact, the teeth were preserved in a complete set, and soft tissues, including muscles and even skin, were so well preserved that they could be examined almost like a living photograph of those days. Inside the stomach, feathers and plant fragments were found, providing scientists with a unique opportunity to glimpse the final hours of this creature's existence. Analysis of the remains revealed the presence of feathers and plant debris in its stomach, indicating that it was capable of consuming both meat and plant matter. This suggests that our ancient ancestor, resembling modern brown bears in appearance, was an omnivorous opportunist able to adapt to the available resources of its environment. Genetic studies confirm that this species was a close relative of modern brown bears, which still inhabit certain regions of northeastern Russia. Although it was not an extinct species, its existence dates back to such distant times that humans were still constructing megalithic monuments and forging bronze tools. This underscores how ancient the era from which it originated was, characterized by profound cultural and natural processes. Equally remarkable was the preservation of these remains, better than most museum specimens, which typically undergo extensive processing and preparation. The remains of this ancient creature were carefully sectioned and studied at the Yakut Mammoth Museum and the Lazarev Mammoth Laboratory. All of its biological tissues, from muscle fibers to the gut microbiome, are subjected to comprehensive analysis. This is done to understand how animals adapted to past environmental conditions and what lessons can be learned to predict potential future scenarios for nature's development. These unique finds extracted from permafrost continue to astonish and inspire scientists and history enthusiasts alike. They seem to open a window into Earth's past, revealing long-extinct species and illustrating how life adapted to extreme conditions. Moreover, such discoveries motivate new research in the search for ways to potentially restore or recreate these magnificent creatures. This work helps us understand how nature coped with the challenges of its time and offers hope that knowledge gained from the past will better prepare us for the future. These findings not only expand our understanding of ancient epochs, but also serve as valuable sources of information about the genetic diversity and ecosystems of those times. They assist scientists in understanding survival and adaptation mechanisms, which is especially important in our rapidly changing modern world. Therefore, supporting scientific research, sharing knowledge, and preserving these unique artifacts are of great importance for the future of our planet. These discoveries remind us of the infinite richness and complexity of Earth's history and inspire new discoveries and research that could alter our understanding of time and space.